In this video, we're learning about the two most needed forms for taxes, and that's going to be the W-2 form and the 1099 form. Now, let's start off with the W-2 form, and this is going to be a form sent to you from your employer, and they're going to send you one at the beginning of every year with the previous year's income and tax statements. And so what the form does, it says two things. First, it states your income for the year, and then second, it's going to state how much money you had withheld from taxes by your employer. So let's jump in and look at a real example of a W-2 here. So you got your employee social security number here, the employer identification number here, the employer information and address there, your name, and then your address. And that stuff's not too important. You can figure all that stuff out. So what we're going to get into now is the financial aspect of it. And so no, anything that is labeled wages, tips, income, or compensation, that's going to equal money made for the year. So that's what that means. And anything you see on a W-2 labeled income, tax, or withheld is going to be money that has been withheld for taxes. So there's wages, tips, other compensation. That is the line that you're taxed federally at. And it's actually different from everywhere on the W-2. So lines 3, 5, 16, and 18, that's going to show how much you actually made for the year. So we know David made $50,000 for the year, but he was taxed federally at $47,500. The reason for why that is because sometimes employers will take some money out and put it into retirement funds that are not taxed federally. So number one is always going to be a little bit less than the rest of the W-2. So that's why that is. But David made $50,000 for the year when looking at this W-2. Now let's look at the taxes. There's the federal income tax withheld, Social Security tax withheld, Medicare tax withheld, state income tax withheld, and local income tax, which is going to be like your city and county taxes. So let's go ahead and figure out how much money was withheld from this person for their taxes. And let's just go ahead and add them all up. So $5,900 withheld federally, $3,100 withheld for Social Security, $725 for Medicare tax, $3,200 for state income tax, and local income tax, $950. So let's add all those up, and that's going to give us $13,875 withheld by the employer for taxes. So that is a snapshot of what a W-2 is. So now let's look at the second form that is very common, a 1099 form. And so a 1099 form shows non-employment income. And so the difference is that non-employment income is technically income earned by freelance or contract work, whereas a W-2, you're technically an employee for the company, and in a 1099, you're technically a freelancer or a contract worker. So unlike a W-2, the biggest difference is that no money is withheld for taxes. So if you made $20,000, you'll get paid $20,000. They don't take anything out for taxes. So it's always important to remember that you will need to pay taxes that are not taken out. So save some extra money if you're doing 1099 work, because you're going to have to pay it later in taxes. All right, so here's a 1099 form. It's similar, and it's set up. There's information about the company, their TIN, that means tax identification number, your tax identification number. Then here's your name, your address, and the city and state that you live in. But let's go ahead and look at this right here, non-employee compensation, and then the same number right there. And so that's just the money that this company has paid to you. So Layla Harrison made $14,700 from the Portland Web Builders. But unlike a W-2, they did not take out any for federal income tax or state income tax or any taxes for that matter. So you eventually would have to pay that. That's why if you're working with 1099s, it's usually good to save extra money, because you're going to have to pay it again at the end of the year, versus in a W-2, they're taking it out each month for you. So you will have to pay all these taxes yourself, because typically the companies don't withhold any taxes on 1099s. So that was a quick summary of the two most common tax forms you'll see, W-2s and 1099s. And just quick little reminder so it's easy for you to remember, W-2s are if you are an employee of the company and they do have taxes withheld from them, versus 1099s are for if you're doing contract or freelance work and taxes are not withheld. So that's all I have for you on this one. Just a reminder to take it easy.